In the small village of Nduka, there lived a beautiful woman named Amara. She was known for her kindness and her bright smile. Amara was married to a man named Kelechi, who was a hardworking farmer. Kelechi loved Amara very much, but he was also very jealous. He didn't like when other men talked to her or even look at her. One sunny morning, Amara went to the market to buy some vegetables. As she was picking out the freshest tomatoes, a young man named Chima greeted her. "Good morning, Amara," he said with a friendly smile. Amara smiled back and replied, "Good morning, Chima." They chatted for a few minutes before Amara continued her shopping. When Amara returned home, Kelechi was waiting for her. "Who was that man you were talking to at the market?" he asked angrily. Amara was surprised by his tone. It was Chima, a friend from the village, she explained, but Kelechi was not convinced. His jealousy grew stronger each day. Kelechi decided that the only way to keep Amara away from other men was to keep her busy at home. He started giving her more and more chores. Amara washed the clothes, he would say. Amara cleaned the house. Amara cooked the food. Amara did all the work without complaining, but she was very tired. One day, her best friend Nkem came to visit. She noticed how tired Amara looked. "Amara, why are you doing all this work by yourself?" Nkem asked. Amara sighed and told her about Kelechi's jealousy. Nkem was shocked. "This is not right, Amara. You need to talk to Kelechi," she advised. Amara decided to talk to Kelechi that evening. "Kelechi, I'm very tired. I cannot do all this work alone," she said gently, but Kelechi was not ready to listen. "You must do as I say, Amara. I don't want you talking to other men," he replied sternly. Amara felt a tear roll down her cheek. She loved Kelechi, but she didn't know how much longer she could keep up with all the work. Days turned into weeks, and Amara's life became even harder. Kelechi's jealousy made him more controlling. He would lock the door when he went to the farm, leaving Amara trapped inside the house. Amara felt like a prisoner in her own home. One evening, as Amara was washing the dishes, she heard a knock on the door. It was Chima. "Amara, are you okay?" he asked with concern. Amara quickly wiped her hands and opened the door. "Chima, you shouldn't be here. Kelechi will be angry," she whispered, but Chima insisted. "I just want to help you, Amara." Just then, Kelechi returned home and saw Chima standing at the door. His face turned red with anger. "What are you doing here?" he shouted. Chima tried to explain, but Kelechi wouldn't listen. He pushed Chima away and slammed the door shut. "You are not to see him again, Amara," he yelled. Amara felt trapped and helpless. She didn't know what to do. She missed her old life, where she could smile and talk to her friends. Now she was just a maid in her own home, doing all the work and living in fear of Kelechi's anger. One night, Amara had a dream. She dreamt of a wise woman who lived in the forest. The woman told her, Amara, you must find your strength. You are not a maid. You are a strong and beautiful woman. Stand up for yourself. Amara woke up with a new sense of hope. She decided that she would no longer let Kelechi's jealousy control her life. The next morning, Amara went to the forest to find the wise old woman from her dream. She walked for hours until she reached a small hut. An old woman with kind eyes greeted her. I have been expecting you, Amara, she said. Amara was surprised. How did you know I was coming? She asked. The old woman smiled and replied, I know many things, my child. Now tell me what troubles you. Amara told the old woman about Kelechi's jealousy and how he had turned her into a maid. The old woman listened carefully and then said, You must find your inner strength, Amara. You are not a maid. You are a queen. Go back and stand up for yourself. Amara thanked the old woman and returned home with a new sense of courage. That evening, she confronted Kelechi. Kelechi, I love you, but I will not be your maid anymore. I am your wife and I deserve to be treated with respect, she said firmly. Kelechi was taken aback by her words. He had never seen Amara so strong and determined. Kelechi realized that his jealousy had blinded him. He had returned the woman he loved. He had turned the woman he loved into a maid out of fear of losing her. He felt ashamed of his actions. Amara, I am sorry. I have been a fool. Please forgive me, he said with tears in his eyes. Amara hugged him and said, I forgive you, Kelechi, but you must promise to change. Kelechi promised to change, and he kept his words. He started helping Amara with the chores and allowed her to visit friends. Their love grew stronger, and they were happier than ever before. Amara had found her strength, and Kelechi had learned the true meaning of love and trust. But their story was far from over. There were still many challenges ahead, and Amara and Kelechi would need to face them together. They had learned that love was not just about being together, but about supporting and respecting each other. And with that lesson, they were ready to face whatever came their way. Amara and Kelechi's newfound harmony brought peace to their home. But life in Nduka was never without its challenges. One day, a severe drought hit the village. The crops withered and rivers dried up. The villagers were worried about how they would survive. Kelechi, being a farmer, was deeply affected. He spent long hours in the field trying to save what little crops he could. Amara, seeing his struggle, decided to help. She gathered the women of the village and organized a plan to fetch water from a distant river. Together they walked miles each day, carrying heavy pots of water back to the village. Despite their efforts, the drought persisted. One evening, as Amara and Kelechi sat by the fire, Kelechi spoke with a heavy heart. Amara, I don't know how much longer we can survive like this. The crops are dying and we have so little food left. Amara held his hand and said, We will find a way, Kelechi. We must stay strong and support each other. The next day, Amara remembered the wise woman in the forest. She decided to visit her again. hoping to find a solution to their problem. When she arrived at the hut, the old woman welcomed her warmly. "What brings you here, my child?" she asked. Amara explained the situation and pleaded for help. The old woman thought for a moment and said, "There is a hidden spring deep in the forest. It is said to have magical waters that can bring life back to the land, but it is guarded by a fierce spirit. You must be brave and clever to reach it." Amara thanked the old woman and hurried back to the village to share the news. Kelechi and a few other villagers agreed to join Amara on the journey to find the spring. They packed their bags and set off early the next morning. The forest was dense and full of dangers, but Amara led the way with determination. They walked for hours, facing wild animals and treacherous paths. As they neared the spring, they heard a loud roar. The fierce spirit appeared before them, blocking their path. It was a giant creature with fiery eyes and sharp claws. The villagers were terrified, but Amara stepped forward bravely. "We seek the magical waters to save our village," she said. The spirit growled. "Only those who prove their words can pass." Amara thought quickly and remembered the wise old woman's word. She knelt down and offered the prayer, asking for strength and guidance. Suddenly, the spirit's eyes softened. "You have shown courage and wisdom, Amara. You may pass," it said, stepping aside. The villagers rushed to the spring and filled their pots with the magical water. They returned to Nduka and poured the water over the dry fields. To their amazement, the crops began to grow again, and the rivers flowed with fresh water. The village was saved, and everyone rejoiced. Kelechi hugged Amara tightly. "You are truly amazing, Amara. You have saved us all," he said with tears of gratitude. Amara smiled and replied, "We did it together, Kelechi. Our love and unity made us strong, but their journey was not over. There were still many adventures and challenges ahead." Amara and Kelechi knew that as long as they stood by each other, they could face anything that came their way. And so, their story continued, filled with love, courage, and the strength of their bond.